Yo, this is in
Facts.
Chats, and we are in our home, which is the Cube. It's London home for creators. It's for podcasters, artists, musicians, producers, all of that. It's all about recording your art and getting paid for it.
Ooh. And if you want a free month at the Cube, all you have to do is visit thecube.com, QUBE.com. You'll see that down below, and enter in facts into the referral field, and you'll get your first month for free.
Yeah. Sweet. Enjoy that. Bon appetit.
Hey!
Yeah.
You're listening to In
Facts.
Chats.
And you know who it is. It's myself, Lemzi. That's Lemzi, the Gemini.
Nearly forgot your name
Yeah,
there.
nearly, innit?
And you're listening to me, Amelia Poamz. That's Poamz.
Ah.
Hello, the Pisces.
Man, and this is the podcast where creative millennials let off steam. We talk about creativity and all other relevant topics.
And obviously we couldn't do this on our own, so hold tight the Cube for sponsoring us. London Home for Creators. Let me finish.
Oh,
okay.
sorry.
And obviously this is the unpacked version, so it's just audio only, no cameras, lights out. We unpacking.
Lights are bare bright.
I know,
right now.
they're bare bright right now because we're
We need
tired.
That, we need that. Yeah, trust me. All right, so
Yeah.
you're tired, but how are you?
Really? You know what? I'm actually really good. I'm really good. I'm obviously in a good mood. Obviously, I know this is going to come out later, but I've been celebrating my birthday on 29.
25, all of that.
25, you know. And obviously, I've been
25.
doing up bougie life, going and enjoying the city that I live in.
What's the bougiest thing you done?
Well, I went to the Shard.
Wow.
Yeah, with my mom and my bro. And then I went to the Gherkin.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, I love going for food with a nice view.
Yeah, somewhere high.
Yes.
Is it like blue skies, grey skies? What are we saying at this time?
Well, the
with the
Gherkin was you know what? My actual birthday was a beautiful day. I said, yeah, it's for me.
Love that.
You know what I mean? I'm a ray of sunshine. But yeah, so we went in the day for that, and honestly, the weather was just beautiful, like blue skies. It was gorgeous. And when I went to the Shard that day was miserable, but we went in the evening, and obviously London is just so pretty at night.
Yeah.
Just looking out. Even though I must say this restaurant needs to actually give us some more light in there because I couldn't really see where I was going.
What, the one in the Shard?
Yeah, the one in the Shard
my
was just
gosh.
too dark. It was just too dark. I was surprised the waiters actually could bring over the food. It was so dark.
Oh, big up the waiters then.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but hold tight them. But yeah, so that's how I am.
I
I'm
love
good.
that.
I feel very excited for this next chapter of my life.
The final leg of the 20s.
Final leg of the 20s, and I think it's actually where I just sort my shit out. I actually just sort it out now.
Have you got like a 30 before 30 list or anything like that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
I do actually. Before my 30s, I'm paying off all my debt.
Cool.
I'm not going into my 30s with
That's
debt.
a big one, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Get rid of that.
I've been tagging rolling this debt along for too long now. It's almost become part of
So
me.
you just kick the can a
Do you
little
know?
bit, innit?
Yeah, no, it's time for me to get a bit more serious, man. And obviously I'm lucky enough to live at home with my mum right now, but I'm just like, you have to get realistic. There's going to be a time where this is not going to be the setup for you, and you need to have some more financial stability. You need to also get used to actually just living more within your means.
There's Tory politics there, yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that's how I'm feeling. What about you?
Lovely.
How are you feeling? Really?
I'm okay.
Okay.
It was the other day I was like, oh, I'm so good.
I know. And I was like, I'm not very good. I'm pissed off actually.
And I'm just okay today, innit? Like I'm not bad at all. There's nothing particularly wrong. But I think I'm at a phase where I'm a bit like, I just want something more to happen in it, because not that everything's stagnating. If anything, I feel like a few things have come out of my hands a bit more actually. And because I'm kind of waiting to see how these things might actually manifest, whether it is an example, music, for instance. I think I spoke in the first episode about how, music's always been still there. Like, and I'm like, okay. Having a conversation with a person today, and I've had to switch people that are doing it. All of these kind of things are happening. So things aren't bad because things are still in progress and hopefully go in the direction I envisaged. But I'm like, okay, I've been seeing this same thing for a little bit. And, you know, the months are going kind of thing. And it's
Yeah.
not that I necessarily have a very strict deadline. It's kind of arbitrary in my head. But just seeing how I'm having to push things back or delay things or maybe even miss certain things, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a little bit annoying. I would have wished that I could have just capitalized on that moment a bit more. But
Yeah.
as I said, I'm okay. I'm okay.
And the quote you said in a previous episode was, wait a minute.
Ooh.
No, because I said it wrong and you corrected me then. But nature takes its time.
Close.
What is it again?
Nature does not hurry, yet all things are accomplished.
And that, I said it deliberately wrong so you could say it.
So I say it clean, innit?
So you remind yourself. You
No,
don't need to
super
rush.
It's not and that's why I'm saying nothing's bad, because it's not really like I'm calling up the guy in this example like, yo, I need everything. But it's more, yo, where's everything at?
Okay,
like,
yeah.
We had an initial agreement of, okay, yeah, about a week, not happened. But it's not been like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm working towards this timeline now, or this is how much has been done. It's kind of, I'm in the dark about certain things. So I'm like, no, I need to make sure that I know what's going on, and then I can discern, okay, this is what I need to do from here.
Yeah.
This is what I can do from here because I have this information, etc. But yeah, man, I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
It's the life of an independent artist, man.
Struggles.
Do you know what I mean?
Ooh.
Oh, your mic was like, nah, bro. Stop talking
said, you're
shit.
fine, man.
Stop talking trash, bro.
1 2. Here we are.
Okay, wow. 1 2 1 2.
See, I'm getting back in my bag. That's all it is, man.
Well, obviously, this is off the back of our episode with MOAK,
Yes,
the
sir.
poet, I could like to say the designer
Designer
poet,
poet.
the battle rapper.
He does a lot, man.
He does a lot.
Shout out to MOAK.
Exactly. So we had a nice conversation with him about
Finding my feet has me losing my mind. Come on. I actually had to write that one down because it's sick.
Yeah, innit? That's how he starts his poem, Mood. And I
Okay.
remember when I saw that. But yeah. So
I want to
obviously-
play a
yeah,
quick
go
game
on.
with you.
Okay, go on.
Quick game, because one thing that MOAK mentioned was one of the best lyrics that he's written personally as well. And that was the computer scheme. For anybody who doesn't know, he was battling a guy called Reckless on Art of Rap. This is in 2020. So please go back and check that battle. It's a really good battle between the two of them. And he had this little section where he makes a lot of references around computers.
Right, yeah.
And that's how he was trying to get at Reckless in that part of the battle.
Yeah.
I'm going to read these bars to you. I
Okay.
don't want to see how many of the computer references you
I
catch,
get.
yeah? All right,
Okay.
cool. Are you ready, yeah?
Yeah, okay. Go.
MOAK, don't be mad at me if I don't do this justice in it.
He won't. I'm joking.
All right. You're a fan of URL. You keep tabs on it, and I monitor that. And that should really help you open up your web of thoughts and make you prosper in rap. But CGI just feel like you're too programmed on being an activist. And you are a man. No, sorry. Are you a man or a machine? Because we don't really capture shit. CPU always need to tell him to speak up in his rounds when he spits. I know you're not the biggest cursor, but no need to speak like a mouse. When will it click? You space bars out too much, trying to work out where your mind is at and find it hard to control your function. These rappers type whack. And I know he's got great intel and I can't dispute it. I'm just thinking he's hardware. I just can't compute it.
Okay, wait a minute. I thought we were going line by line.
Oh, you want to do line by line?
Well,
That's too easy.
No, wait a minute. Okay, so what? So you
So
want me
all
to
of it-
remember all
I'll read
the...
it again, innit? But
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, if you can, pick out the little things, because there's only one word at a time that he's mentioning something to do with a computer.
Yeah, but I'm not naming the actual type of computer. You mean
No.
I'm naming the actual direct reference of what
Yeah,
you're
the
talking
direct
about.
reference.
Yeah, so say it slowly and I'll say, huh?
Okay,
Let
yeah,
me get
make
a
a little
buzzer.
noise. Yeah, make a
Ding.
buzzer every time you hear one.
Yeah,
Let's do it
yeah,
that way. All right, let's go again. You ready, yeah?
Yeah, go on.
Cool. You're a fan of URL.
Ding!
Okay.
URL. So that's obviously websites and
Nice
all that
one.
stuff.
Nice
yeah.
one. You keep tabs on it.
Ding!
Ah,
Tabs, obviously.
yeah.
You have tabs too many in my mind. Go on.
And I monitor that.
Ding! The actual
Hey.
monitor, yeah, of the computer, yeah.
And that should really help you open up your web of thoughts.
Ding!
And what was
Web,
that one?
yeah, the wild web.
And make you prosper in rap. But CGI just feel
Ding.
like
CGI, something.
you're too programmed on being an
Ding!
activist.
Programmed.
Are you a man or machine? Because we
Ding,
don't really
machine.
capture shit.
Capture, yeah.
CPU always need to tell him to
Ding.
speak up in his rounds
Yeah.
when he spits. You're right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
another one. The reason why that one's a good flip is because the guy who he's talking to is called P. So it's like C, P, You.
Yeah.
MOAK, I'm sorry if I'm not doing it justice. Go watch the battle. I know you're not the biggest cursor, but no need to speak like a no need to speak like a mouse. When will it click?
Mouse click.
You space bars out too much.
Space bars.
Trying to work out where your mind is at and find it hard to control your function. These rappers type whack.
Yeah. Ding.
And I know he's got great intel and I can't dispute it. But I'm just thinking he's hardware. I just can't compute it.
Ding.
Hey, you got all of them.
Ding,
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 ding, ding, ding, ding. Hey, full marks.
Well, yeah.
That is MOAK. And MOAK is a supreme lyricist.
Definitely.
And I think both of us were like, that was one of the reasons he stood out to us just from seeing him perform. Like, we've both obviously individually seen him on his journey, seen where he's come from, seen the different open mics, poetry events, music events, etc.
Yeah.
And he's just, well, for me, definitely, he's always just wowed me. There's always been one thing that he does, at least, where I'm like, nah, no one's getting it. I feel like no one's getting how good what he's saying is, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Off the back of that, have you got like a favorite or favorite lyricists, whether that's in poetry, music, even people who are just public speakers who are just really good at writing?
Definitely not public speakers. No shade there, but I would definitely have to say Dave is one of my favorite lyricists. And I know that some people might dispute that or whatever, and I guess it kind of gets like, because Dave, I would say, is kind of gone very mainstream now, and it's like almost like, the greatest wordsmiths mainstream. But yeah, and I'll never forget, it was a song of his that he done on a Drake beat called Two Birds, One Stone. Okay. I think it was. And
that's a little while ago.
That one for me, I was just reading all those YouTube comments like, oh, did everyone catch that? Yeah. Just love it, man. Nah, and I think, Dave is a great storyteller as well. I think there's a great art in telling a story. 100%. And actually on that, Cadet, rest in peace, man.
Rest in peace.
I thoroughly enjoy listening to the way Cadet tells stories, and that, there's levels to lyricism, or not even levels. There's like different styles of lyricism. Whether you're a storyteller or like you're mad on your wordplay or whatever. But I'd say there's a storyteller, Cadet, if we're talking about UK for me, and Dave, and then I also have to chuck in Mick Jenkins. He's dope.
Elite.
And he's a poet. He started off as a poet.
Elite.
Yeah. What about you?
For me, Sir, the singer, is actually one. I think he's a top lyricist. That's literally the song now. Oh man, if he gets me in my feels, and if you can do that, I'm like, nah, you're saying something serious, man. Yeah. So he's definitely one, and then storytelling as well. I think huge thing for a lyricist. So Nas is one.
Yeah.
And a guy called Big L as well, who he passed away years ago, but as a storyteller and just as a punchline guy. Oh man, crazy lyrics. I won't even say any because they're so vulgar. But he was one of those people, wasn't it, where he he pushed the boundaries of what am I allowed to say here.
Okay, yeah.
So he said some wild stuff. But as a lyricist and as someone who's able to put words together very well or tell a really vivid story, he was really good at that. Like, that's one of his bags. So those are like three of my guys when it comes to top tier lyricists.
Okay.
Even.
And obviously, like, I think with poetry, it's all about lyrics. Yeah. Anyway, essentially, that's all you have. Is
that's
talking.
what we were saying.
Do you know what I mean? It's you talking. However, like we mentioned with MOAK, that obviously there's flow that is a big part of it, how you deliver those words as well. But I just think there's some poets that actually rely more on the flow and how they deliver it, where it's like, actually, what are you talking about? It's not really hitting. It's not hitting at all. And that's why there's levels to this. There's levels to this in terms of lyricism. And even when I think about myself, I didn't think I was like one of the best at all. I think actually mine was more storytelling in a way. Yeah. The way I would deliver my poetry was more just storytelling, coming from almost like running thoughts. That's how I'd kind of write. Like I remember speaking to MOAK. I asked him like, how do you think of this stuff, please? And to be honest with you, it was him. I remember him telling, I don't want to give his game away, but he put a lot of prep into it. Yeah. He put a lot of prep. I would write spontaneously, like when it just come to me. So I used to sort of think to myself, you know what, if I actually gave myself like a week where I like sat down and I proper like brainstormed and put things together, it could probably be very sick. But did I have the time and patience for that? No. And that's what made me think, do I really want to do this?
That's a mess. So you're more of a freestyler than anything.
Honestly, like my poem Just Beautiful, I wrote that in like maybe 2 hours. And it's actually quite a long poem.
Wow.
But that was actually me just telling a story.
Yeah.
That was me almost like, just baiting up my whole life, strumming my pain with my mouth.
So you never like go back and edit stuff? Is it more like
very rarely?
This is out, so this is
very
it.
Rarely. But I do think that's also because I'm impatient. I think that's what it is as well. Like sometimes I don't want to read over what I just read again.
Really?
Do you know what? This is even the same in English. I used to hate proofreading. I still hate proofreading up to this day.
That's so interesting.
And I actually need to work on that. So actually going back to what I'm going to do before my 30s.
That's another one, yeah.
Is work on my proofreading, because sometimes I look at the emails I've sent. So
I feel like with emails, I kind of just let them fly. And then once they're gone, that's when you clock. You're like, oh my God.
Do you know what I mean?
It's not even a word.
All it would have taken for you just to read over it. And I remember I've had all my teachers in my life tell me about this.
Yeah.
Amelia, proofread, go over it, read the drafts, all of that.
Yeah.
And you think I would then take that into my poetry? But no, honestly, I've not worked on a poem for a long amount of time.
That's so interesting, because that's like the complete opposite to me.
Swear.
Yeah,
okay,
like
yeah.
If I write something, actually no, let me think about this, because let's say if I have to write something that's short, like a verse that's 8 bars or something.
Yeah.
Typically it's like, all right, cool, what's come out? That's the 8, and you're gonna stick with that. But if it's like a figure 8 flip, for instance.
Okay, yeah.
That took a lot.
But I think your style of like lyricism is that more in depth. Do you know what I mean? Like it has been thought out, because you listen to it, that must have been thought out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with me, I'm not even gonna lie, I think sometimes people used to read deeper than it actually.
I was just eating breakfast when I wrote this. What do you want?
People would be like, yo, when you said that, and then the way they say it to me, I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, I did mean it like that. When I'm like, no, I didn't even clock that.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I think it makes sense. And I do think I've done myself a disservice by never allowing myself that amount of time to really like nurture it and grow it. Because actually there have been times I'll write a poem, leave it for time, go back to it, read it over again, and then I'll kind of
start editing it from there.
Yeah, a little bit, but best believe I ain't doing that for too long.
That's it. Do you know what? Because say with something like figure 8 flip, which is it's just lyrics. One of the techniques that I used to have would, if there's, I don't know, what am I looking at? Clear glass, for instance, was like an ending phrase. Sometimes when I can't think of another line where something ends in clear glass, I'll just think of everything that rhymes with clear glass and literally write that down. And then eventually I'll come back to it and be like, okay, rear ass, clear glass, rear glass. That's how you know my mind goes quickly.
Yeah, well, quickly. I mean, we saw that at the beginning of the episode. Would you just say we all packed? But we'll see if everyone's eating their breakfast first.
Family friendly, right? Family friendly.
But no, yeah. And to be honest, I actually forgot what I was gonna say. I got too carried away.
No, but that was like the technique for me. So that would take time sometimes. Like there are occasions where I think it was especially with storytelling. Yeah. Because you're not focused necessarily on rhyming and stuff or even structure. It's more, does it go from A to Z properly? Like, so songs like, what song have I written recently? Build This. That was quick. I remember I just put that on the speaker. Ooh, sick. This hook came to my mind. And then from there, it's just the sequence of events and you write like that. But yeah, other songs, oh my gosh, struggles. You write a verse and then a month later you come back and you think, do I have another one for this?
Yeah, I hear you. You know what I used to do? The thing is, when I would write like my poetry, again, it would kind of like come to my head. And then this would always happen to me that like I'll just be like saying it, and then I'll say a word that I'm like, is that actually a word? Does that actually mean anything? And I'll have to Google it and I'll be like, yeah, it does. But I was like, where's that word come from? Like, I never used that word. Or sometimes I'll like the word and I Google it and it's like, don't make no sense. So I'm like, I can't even use it, but I'm like, right, I'm going to use the word somewhere.
Yeah, you're going to make it make sense,
Do you know
innit?
what I mean? Yeah, like, yeah, man. But that's why obviously there's levels at it to the planning. And I feel like when it comes to like the lyricism, like MOAK, like yourself, it will have that depth, because I definitely wouldn't say I'm a fucking word. I wouldn't at all. Like, yeah, I could string some nice things together, but I think my thing was more about telling stories and just almost like how I would say it. Do you know what I mean? In a more chill way that's not so like, I went to the sky. Yeah. Because even one of my poems is like, this is the realest shit I ever wrote. Do you know what I mean?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Have you got like a least favorite poem that you've ever written? Is there one that makes you feel like, I will never read this out again?
No. Do you know? Because I would just never perform the ones that
slightly, it's just in the archive.
Exactly. I'll say the one that I love performing the most
go on.
was like Just Beautiful, only because I knew that like, obviously anyone listening right now that doesn't know, Just Beautiful was all about self-love. My journey. It was like one of the first poems I wrote. I was very transparent about some experiences that I had with men and how they made me feel, but it was more about how I made myself feel and what I was allowing. And ultimately, I mean, it was very uplifting, could be quite cheesy in some ways, but at the same time, you know, it touched people at the right time. And that's the one I got the biggest response for, actually. I remember like the first time I performed it, the next day, actually at the event, Hold Tight Vabby, that I performed with her at her old brand called Newt. But yeah, I performed there, and like there was like loads of people at this event. It was a fashion show celebrating like women of all, like the diversity of women and how we should all just love ourselves and stuff like that. So I wrote something specifically for her and that event, and literally I was shitting myself first and foremost when I went on, because this was the first time I was like actually going to perform poetry. I didn't call myself a poet these times. I remember looking around and there were so many people. There was also men. I didn't know how men would receive this kind of poem. And I remember getting up and I was actually so nervous. But then like going in, like just started to woo, yes. And like even at the time, I remember someone was filming it and I could see, obviously watching it back, I was watching Vabby's reaction. She was just looking at me like, wow.
Smashing it.
And honestly, the response afterwards, so many people came up to me afterwards like, oh my God, your poem touched me. Men were coming up to me like, oh my goodness, like I want so many people to hear this. My DMs were flooded. Literally, I remember.
Was this your first show?
This is my first poetry performance, like intentionally. I think maybe once I had shared some of my poetry in another way, but it wasn't like that though. But yeah, and literally within like a week, Vabby was like on the phone to me like, right, you need to brand yourself as a poet. Like,
I'm so glad you did though.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
At least for a chapter. Yeah, no, you did for a little chapter. Like you about to get rid of that quickly.
Yeah, because man. But yeah, man.
Because I remember again, first time we met was when you were performing poetry, and for me it was like. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, sorry, that poem I probably done at that performance, that was one of my least favourite because it was fucking long as hell. It was long as hell, and it was just so like, you're talking about everything, almost like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, admittedly, I don't remember the poem in it.
Thank you.
I do not remember, but I remember you on stage and thinking, rah, this girl's good. Like, you were good, proper good. And that was when I'm pretty sure I was still in my poetry bag as well. So I was heavy on lyricists in particular, people that could express themselves through their words. And you were dope, man. You came through, did a couple performances at a couple of the shows I did as well. Then I saw you elsewhere as well, and you always got a good reception. And it wasn't because you were like, the female poet who's come here or the one who's a bit edgy. It's always because your words actually cut. Like, the one where you made people hug themselves. What's that one?
That was Just Beautiful.
That's Just Beautiful. Yeah. For instance, that one. Sick.
Yeah.
Every single time.
I gave myself a hug.
Yeah.
It felt a bit weird, but I called it self-love. So.
Everyone would always do it though. And then I'd look around like,
but it's because I started with that and then I went,
themselves.
I started with that line and obviously everyone's thinking, huh? And then by the end of it, when I say it again, everyone's hugging themselves because I've taken them on a journey with me.
Look at you. Performer. You know exactly what you're doing, innit?
But I think actually, do you know what it was for me? Why I kind of went to poetry is because I had something to say.
Yeah, facts.
And I just wanted to say it. And it's like, where are the spaces where if you have something to say and you just want to say it because you're like, oh my God. And really them times I wasn't on creating videos for the gram, because maybe if it was more now, I might have just become a bit more of a vlogger, like to say X, Y, and Z. But I just felt like people need to hear this, and it could sound a bit like self-proclaiming. Do you know what I mean? But I was just like, nah, no, I'm not the only woman that feels like this, or has like had men make me feel a certain type of way that is actually not like on. Do you know what I mean?
And I think that was one of the things in the poetry space, innit? It was come here, be vulnerable, and you will be well received.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what it was, because everyone, I think I said it in the other episode with MOAK, like everyone kind of had a cause, innit? Whether that was more activist, social justice-ish, social justice-ish. Like, look at me talking terrible.
Wow.
That, or another angle of just, okay, these are my personal experiences. Let's see if they resonate with people. Poetry spaces always seem to just open up for that kind of individual, that type of artist, innit? Do you think, like, because when I think back to when I was doing the poetry circuit, I was definitely, my cause anyway, or the thing that I wrote about mostly that kind of made me assimilate most into the poetry world was blackness. Like speaking on black issues, black leaders, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
And I think around that time I was very heavily, like, not indoctrinated by it, but I was very heavily focused on it. I remember going to the first Black Lives Matter marches in 2015 down in Oxford Street. Yeah. But I think a lot of things started happening around the same time where I started thinking, this is nice, but it's not quite enough, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So even some of the poetry, when I was anyway reading it to the same sort of audience all the time, you start realizing, okay, it's a bit of an echo chamber now. Like, of course you like it. We're all here in the same spot. We all feel the same thing. So of course you like it. Yeah. Even stuff like the original Black Lives Matter march. I remember we were all walking all the way from like Regent Street up Oxford Street. We all thinking we're killing it as well. And I remember just on the side, people just taking videos of us, and I was thinking, that doesn't sit right. Yeah. And then by the time we got to Marble Arch, and I think some of the leaders were like, all right, cool, so where are we going now, kind of thing. I was thinking, bro, no one's got a plan. Yeah. Like, no one's got a plan from here, what we're doing. Like, and I started feeling like, okay, we're really talking to ourselves. We need to, if we're going to do this, and if there's if there's an agenda to get people to change things, we need to talk to those people who are going to enable that change, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a similar thing happened to me as well, another protest, when, this was so annoying. We were doing the Bring Back Our Girls campaign in 2014. So we're outside the Nigerian embassy. And I remember we were there for I was there for at least 2 hours. People were there before me, people were there after me. But we're outside. Tell me why we're outside on a Sunday when it's closed and there's nobody in the building, Amelia.
Almost performative.
When someone told me that, I felt so angry, because I was like, wait, what? No one decided, no one wanted to tell me.
Because it's convenient.
This
is
on a Sunday. We can all get out. No one's really doing anything. We can hold up placards. Look, I was here. But I was thinking, no, what the freaking A? Like,
what the freaking A?
Shout out Here Easy. We finally dropped it.
I know, innit? He won't even listen to
I know,
this.
trust me.
But man.
Going back to like how it factors into poetry, it was very much like my niche, I guess, was, okay, these are the things that, they were dear to me as well. It's not like I was doing it because I wanted people to feel a way about me. It's because this is what I care about at this moment in time. These are the things I think need to be expressed. Let me talk about it in this way. What was your one though? Were you more something else?
So mine was always directly from my lived experiences. So obviously having like housing issues and working closely with Shelter, the homeless and housing charity. Like I wrote a poem around like homelessness and just the reality of what that is, especially in London. But then also self-love as well, because of just how I personally felt. But then also I was big on like women empowerment, and now like it. At that time, obviously, it's always been a thing, but like now I think it's almost like just not cliche, but it's like a buzzword now. Self-love, women empowerment. It's like a buzzword now. Like it's almost like, it's like washed out. But I remember then, because I remember I wrote a poem actually that I actually really, really fucking love, because that's probably the only one that I've done a bit of research on actually. Don't try and test my research now, but it was called Crossover, and that's the one I actually recorded for Dre Cheeks EP, Hold Tight Dre Cheeks.
Is that not the one you performed then?
I don't know. What, the one where you were at?
Yeah.
I don't know if I had that then.
Okay.
No. I don't think I had that then. But yeah, this was basically about, I called it crossover because it was, and the thing is, I know I rub a lot of men up the wrong way when I say this, but essentially how women are, you know, if there's anyone that's on top, it's women. You know, we bring, but we bring life into this world, like, and the thing is, I always remember my mom telling me about a book that my dad used to read called The Golden Bough, and I don't know who the author is, but it was basically about how back in the day, just men were very jealous of women, and the fact that, like, obviously imagine the first time a woman's getting pregnant, like, what the fuck is this? Like, whoa, why do you get to carry the person? Like, what the hell? You're doing this, you're actually bringing a fucking human into the world. And that it in itself just spouted this complete turnover, which is like, now, you know, we're living in a day and age of sexism, of patriarchy, all of this. But then also, just I got really obsessed, well, kind of obsessed with, like, African, ancient African, like, history, and how even, like, I'll never forget, I wish I could remember this guy, and this video stuck in my head for time. So I watched this video, I need to remember the guy, I'm not going to remember him time, I don't even know where to find the video. But this is when I got very, very spiritual, and because my relationship with religion, I'm doing it again, let me slow down, Amelia, you're talking too quick. So my relationship with religion is, I grew up very, very religious, and I wanted to be religious because I felt there was, like, something very true about it, like when I prayed and stuff like that. But the older I got and I looked more at just the religious side of it as opposed to the spiritual side, I was like, this doesn't really make sense. This kind of feels like we're being controlled, whatever. And a lot of it is colonialism, you know what I mean? I'm just thinking, was this just a weapon to control people as well? But I was like, nonetheless, though, the spiritual side of it, I believe in. And then obviously, you know, everyone really, like, the human race backdate into Africa, the motherland. And actually, when you think about the pyramids, they used to build them in, like, under, like, the stars in a particular way that it aligned up with the universe. We were way more connected to the universe and life outside of Earth. So I remember watching a video and the guy was like, God existed before religion. So this idea that you can't believe in God without religion, and so I'm thinking, well, do you think, religion started and then God appeared?
Because if so, that's problematic anyway. That's real problematic.
Like, no, God was here and then we just thought, let's create something to control people. Anyway, to kind of go back to that. So then so in the poem, I talk about the God of Newt and the God of... What's the other one called?
It's only because you just said that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is taking me back.
Yeah, the God of Newt. Mate, because I have to just...
It's not Ra who you're thinking of.
Goddess of Newt. But basically, it's basically a female god and a male god.
Yeah.
And one of them's, like, essentially the world, and one of them's, like, the atmosphere around it. But just kind of talking about that, actually you're very, very much needed and you're on the same par, but you have completely different
roles.
Different roles. But ultimately, it was still a woman, you know? She brings life into this world. But anyway, so that's very much like the I can't remember. Yeah, so the women empowerment, basically, because I was in it, I say, like, she's king, she's king, because all these, like, gender terminology, actually, because when we think of the masculine words, it's like those are the most powerful, and it's actually like, if we actually just really just look at life, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not harmful, it shouldn't really piss people off to say, you know, well, you woman does everyone came from a woman, ultimately.
Super facts, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that you don't need men to create a child. No, not at all. But have some fucking respect. Have some fucking respect.
And that is Amelia's latest poem, guys.
But yeah, basically, it was big on women empowerment. And I'm very much, like, obviously pro me, first and foremost. So I'm pro blackness and pro women. So I'm going to talk about that stuff, basically. And then also my lived experience. I'm very much working class. It will come from that, but it was always very much on the theme of discrimination, I'd say, as well, to kind of speak up about that. Really. So yeah, I would say those were, like, my main ones, and they were received very well. I do remember that at one performance I performed, again, crossover, the one about women, and there was this, like, table of men sat in front of me, and they were screwing me at the end of that, boy.
Swear.
They were they did not like me.
What's the bar in that made people uncomfortable? Or like men in particular
I
uncomfortable?
think, let me try and remember. I think it was like, she's king. We seem to think God is the he. Again, all lies. She's king. I can't. Mother Nature. I can't. You put me on the spot.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
you put
I should
me
have
on
got
the
you some
spot.
prep for that.
No, but obviously, go on YouTube
Go on,
and
go
see it. It's
YouTube.
called Crossover. But or have I taken all my videos down because I'm not a poet anymore? But anyway,
Trying to erase your history.
I know.
What?
But I think also, I just pissed guys off by saying she's king.
Yeah, I don't know why people find that awkward.
But yeah,
Lil
that
Sims does it a lot as well, actually.
Yeah, but people do get. Again, when someone's ultimately trying to like shake your, what's the word, your privileges, you're going to think you're being come for. Like, you're coming for me to take my privileges. No, just reminding you, because where were you for 9 months? You were in a woman, okay? Yeah.
True, yeah, true.
She was protecting you and holding you for you to grow, for you to come out into this world. And again, I'm not taken away from what men bring to this life, not at all, but
it's evening it out.
Because you know what though, I remember actually when I was going around to schools and doing like healthy relationships workshops, and I'll never forget, this young boy was like, oh yeah, well, because I was basically talking to him about respecting women, which I don't know why we had to have that conversation, because it seemed like he felt it was okay to disrespect women. And then I was like, well, why do you think? And he's like, oh, well, don't give me the whole because you carry children, so what? And I actually thought, wow, what is happening?
So what?
Like, it's almost like a woman gets on her soapbox when we mention, oh, you know, you were carried by a child. It's like, we've lost the plot.
Yeah. That is detrimental, because you need those value systems that like really highlight not even what a struggle it is, but just how much of an ordinary thing it is, if anything, but how much it like permeates anything that guys have to do. Really and truly carrying a whole other life.
But also the amount of women that actually die during labour, it is life-threatening.
The stats are crazy,
It's
especially for black women as well.
Yeah,
I remember
exactly.
seeing the stat the other day. I can't remember what it was, so I don't want to misstate it. But when I heard it, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's
like,
life-threatening.
Yeah, genuinely.
So put some respect on it, like, please.
100%.
Which then brings me to the point, though, of like, obviously these were our causes, right? And I would say, actually, to be honest, like, I've done my work in the housing sector as well. I've gone into schools. Like, the work also around those social causes goes outside the poetry. And it's like
100%.
coincided in a way, like, because sometimes I'll be invited into spaces where I do feel like it would have an impact. And there can be like tangible change that comes from that there's real influence. But I think then there's also poets that come in and write about causes because it's popular. Yeah. And you get them clout. But they ain't living that life.
They're not doing it. They're not doing the work.
They ain't living that life. And I'll name it. There's bare men that want to be writing poems about women this, women that, women are the goddesses. But you're absolutely treating your partners and women around you like shit. Hear that again.
Go on, say it again if you want it.
You're there getting on stage talking about how amazing women are and how much we should respect them for clout. But behind closed doors, you're treating women like shit. And you know, the energy will come to light. Please. So people will just like to use this shit for clout.
No, see, that was another thing that kind of veered me away from spoken word, or the world of spoken word, I should say. Not spoken word as an art form, but the world of it. Because, yeah, man, it's not enough. There's too much performance and not enough embodiment in it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, as you said, you were actually outside of poetry doing stuff that you would talk about or express within your poetry. It's the same thing with me. Like, I was at these much, I was doing all of these things because to my core, it was important. And it's stuff that I felt it was a reflection of me, generally speaking, anyway.
Yeah.
So me talking about whether it was black, I don't want to call it Black Lives Matter, but empowerment for black people, or whether it is spirituality, etc. These are things that I live on a day to day. And you're right. There were a few times where I was like, I hear what you're saying,
but I'm not
but
seeing what you're saying.
I see how you act as well, though. Or I'm hearing other stuff about how you may act. And I'm not here to dig people out personally or anything, but
But we see you.
But yeah, it's real life as well. Like
we see you.
It's real life. Unfortunately, people talk, and yeah, like you can't escape it. But it's gonna come back.
It's very interesting though that like people think that almost you can get up on stage and because you can say something so beautiful and so like you can stand there and drive the words out like women are this and they're great, or even if it's not even just that, maybe I don't know. It's what's another cause that people chat shit about as well?
Some people think they're money gurus, and they're really not.
Yeah.
Like, and they're really not. And to be honest with you, if you just said, you know what, I'm low right now, innit? Like, I'm low right now.
Yeah.
It's tight, but this is one thing I did that helped. Cool. But when you come around, like, you have all of the information, or you're abiding by a certain set of principles, which you don't enact because it's impossible to enact certain things all the time. Then it's like people are going to call your bluff or just know you're a fraud.
Yeah.
And you don't need to, especially with art and creativity, just add a disclaimer then, if that's what you're going to do. And like I've written songs where I haven't lived the experience, but it's either very obvious because it would be impossible, or there's some sort of disclaimer. It's like, okay, this is story, like it's not real. It's not me necessarily kind of thing.
And on that though, I always knew I was never really going to write a poem about something I had not actually experienced. I just felt too removed from it. Like, I'm a big believer of like people should use their own voices. Like, let someone who's experienced that voice that. And I mean, there was a poem that I did write. Actually, yeah, there was a poem I wrote after the back of when I worked on a domestic abuse commission, and it was called Why Doesn't She Just Leave? Or I've actually forgotten that's still on my gram actually, that one. But like, why she doesn't just leave. And I did write that from the perspective of someone in an abusive relationship and all the reasons why they don't leave. But I only done that from the insight that I had got from working on the length of that, which was like 12 months, working directly with people that had experienced abusive relationships. But even then, I didn't even push that one too tough, because it's like, that should be spoken by someone that's actually lived that. Do you know what I mean?
That's interesting, because I have an alternative perspective.
Okay.
Where
no,
look at us clashing. Look at us clashing. Because even when I think about some of my favorite storytelling hip hop songs, a lot of them are not first-hand experience. A lot of it is either it's very close or it's something that's in their environment. And maybe these people don't have the necessary voices to like actually say what they're saying in an artistic way, I should say. So one bait song that's a storytelling one is Immortal Technique.
Oh my God, I was gonna say. Do you know that song? Actually, I can't listen to that song anymore because I remember
haunted, man.
It's so, and the thing is, I remember actually being quite depressed when I used to listen to that song.
Dark.
And it depressed me even more.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, this is. And he's got other songs that are, in terms of storytelling, you feel it because you're wow, this is something that is really, really vivid. Like, I can see this happening, whether he did it or not. Another one's J. Cole, Lost Ones. He never said whether he went through that experience in himself, but it didn't sound like that was him. It sounded like a man and a woman in a certain situation about keeping the child or not. And I feel like that's a role for certain artists, not everyone, because I know Drake is very much like your opinion, where he's like, why would I talk about something I haven't lived? Like, I'm just going to talk about me and what I love, and that's fair as well. But I do think there's artists who are very, very good at amplifying stories and amplifying voices as well.
And the thing is though, and this is why I absolutely hear what you're saying, and I'm not saying like I would never, but I remember at the time when I was writing, I was like, I'm only going to speak about my lived experiences, mainly because I had so many fucking different lived experiences I couldn't run out. However, I do understand why, like on that particular project, I was asked, as opposed to, and there was actually a survivor who performed their poetry as well.
Okay, sick.
But it's two different styles as well. And I think actually when you have lived that, sometimes it's tiring. You don't want to turn it into a poem. You don't want to get up and you're still in it, like, or it's just triggering for you. So actually to have someone else almost get up that is maybe in a position that they can use that energy in that way to talk about it, and maybe they've done enough research, and because this is my thing basically, don't just go off like what you assume. It's do you know what I mean? Don't just go off this assumption, because also there's a lot of artists that will write in third person because maybe they don't want to make it obvious that it's actually them. But I think the way we consume art in a way is like we almost take everything for like gospel, like this must be true. That now you might just be spreading misinformation.
No, for real. Yeah, for real.
Do you know what I mean?
For real. what's his name? Joyner Lucas as well. I'm just thinking about really good storytelling songs where someone hasn't been first person. I can never remember the guy's name, but it was something Luciani or something like that, which was a true story. It was basically a guy who is from Detroit, met a friend or somebody thought it was his friend, but that person was just being initiated into a gang and they used him to get initiated, so he got jumped and shot. Well, sorry to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it. Wow,
you've ruined that.
Go and watch it. It's a great storytelling song. But again, Joyner had seen or heard this story that is already, it's like real life, and then kind of just reimagined it in a way of song and art and obviously visuals as well that complemented it. And again, I think stuff like that is sick. I think it's sick to be able to do that, because the guy who is actually a survivor, like he survived in everything, he's not a rapper. Like he told us his story, but he would never do it in such an artistic way as Joyner Lucas did, innit?
And also, like we were kind of talking about with MOAK anyway, that like there are people that are just good at this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
facts.
like you would be given, like that's why you have businesses or whoever hire a poet, because it's like, can you basically take this really difficult subject or this story and put it in like a 4-minute digestible piece that's gripping, people want to listen right to the end, because I do feel like poetry is a very powerful tool that can get very harsh or like direct or very loud opinions, or just opinions maybe that you might not consume on a day-to-day, or just issues you might choose to ignore. But like if poets can like get that down, and lyricists can get that down in a way that like you voluntarily consume that, wanting more and wanting to like, oh, I actually want to find out more about that, or like, oh my goodness, So I hear you. That I'm not saying that people can't write about something that they haven't directly experienced, but also just please don't be one of those people just for clout's sake.
That's the difference, isn't it? Where it's just like, this sounds like people were talking about this. Yeah, I'm going to talk about it now.
Isn't it? Because even like self-love, I think it's actually become like a buzzword.
Boring now. I can't even lie. Boring.
Self-love is boring.
Don't get me wrong. You have to practice it. Like this you have to. Like you genuinely have to find a way to practice self-love in your day-to-day life. But 100,000 people telling you self-love, and there's no depth behind what they're saying. There's no substance. It's just self-love, guys. Love yourself. No, but have you loved yourself today?
Exactly. The self. Love is self. It's like you're just making sounds. You're actually just making sounds. And I actually see it in your eyeballs that you don't know what you're talking about. Like, when you can feel when someone's talking and it's coming from a real place of, I'm feeling
I feel this. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I feel this.
I
wrote this for a problem. I feel.
I very feel. And then I've seen some, and literally as I'm saying this now, I'm picturing the performer. Wow. And I remember actually thinking, this is some bullshit. This is some bullshit. Like, I'm not even believing you. Like, and this is just, you want to get booked for like, oh, we need a poet that's going to talk about self-love. Oh, yeah. Well, I was at a function and then was this person not done that. Let's get them. And they're going around talking about stuff that, to me, it ain't hitting. It ain't hitting. But you know what? I just want to take this time, though, to shout out to Simply Shio.
Oh yeah.
Who
she's probably
the
my
other
favorite
end,
poet right now.
the other end of poetry. Well, if we're talking about the kind of seriousness about it, having that comedy side. And the thing is, each and every one of her poems, though, there's some real depth. Like there's a message you can take away from that.
Do you know what? The first few times I saw her, I was just laughing because I thought, this is hilarious kind of thing. And then the more I'm watching, I'm like, no, but you're actually very, very, very talented. Like,
so talented.
You're a really good poet, a really good lyricist, a really good comedian, a really good presenter, a really good actress. All of these things in 30 seconds most of the time as well. Big shout out to Simply Shio, man.
Honestly, and that just shows. But the thing, she actually started off as a poet anyway. Like she's got
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, so she started off as a poet. I remember I was supposed to interview her on my show, and I got it, and I got COVID.
That means it'll come back. It'll come back around.
Yeah.
Bigger, better show.
Because I was so excited. But she triggers me though as well. I remember the recent poem that she's brought out is about the red flags that we choose to ignore.
That one was so funny.
What is that, a red flag? Because it looks burgundy to me.
It's burgundy.
I'm like, sis, I know. That's burgundy. I'm legally blind. But I mean, but again with her, you feel it. She believes what she's saying.
100.
Oh,
it's just so funny.
Oh my God,
Whoa.
I'll never forget the scandal that I heard about in the poetry scene, and I'm not gonna name any names.
Oh my gosh, what?
But there are actually some poets that will get up and perform other people's poetry and say it's theirs.
Wow, really?
I can't name any names, but
How do you get away with that?
Well,
That's interesting.
it was a scandal.
Because like you can do cover songs and that's fine.
Yeah, I
innit?
know.
But
But
cover
you're actually-
poems must be a complete no. Because that's kind of like back in the days of MCing and you couldn't bite people's lyrics. You couldn't say what someone else has said. That's one of the main things because that is literally someone's just IP.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
That's their whole IP.
Exactly.
Wow.
But yeah,
they got up there and just doing.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing poetry anymore though, because I think too
They're
many
not
people
around
found
no
out.
more,
Yeah, I think too many people found out. And the thing is, so I got told about this particular poem that was being almost used by someone else. And then the person sent me the link to the video online, and it was obviously way back, like in the 90s.
Yeah.
So there was no way. There was no way that was your poem.
Yeah.
And I said it was word for word. The same way this person performed that poem, they mimicked it and got on stage and said it was their own.
Why would they do that
It's
though?
mad. And I said the scandal.
That kind of stuff is mad. It's like, how do you think you're gonna get away with that?
Mad.
Oh man, I remember Dave Chappelle actually got onto Key and Peele because he said they did the same thing as well. I can't remember which sketches it was, but again, there's like a video and a video next to each other, and you can see it's almost word for word the exact same thing is happening. You know, like, fam, you have to get not cancelled because that's not the one, but there has to be repercussions for that.
And this is though, when it comes to the poetry industry, how do you protect your poetry? Because obviously, there's even like going down the copywriting, whatever way. It's still like, how do you actually police whether someone's? There might be someone getting up and performing just beautiful somewhere, making a mint out of it. You know. I swear to God, if anyone's out there performing any of my poetry, I will find you.
Yeah, and then
I'll
what?
turn up and start. I'll be at the back saying it with them.
Yeah, line for line. Say the line just after they're
exactly. Louder. Yeah, that's why. Do you know? I never forget though. Right at the beginning, I remember big up Renell Shaw, composer. I've had him on the show before. Musician, dope. And I met him through the work I did at Hackney Empire. He's always been kind of like a mentor for me. He's always been a bit older, very much in the creative scene. But I remember him saying, Amelia, he was the first one to tell me about PRS. He was like, I know it's more for musicians, but just definitely still, because he was like, there's two. There's one for musicians and then the copyrighted part or whatever that you could like essentially, if it's for writers or authors or whatever, get that shit on there. And he was like, make sure you do that, or like email yourself the poem straight away so you have that date stamp as well, just to protect yourself, because he was like, you don't know whether someone takes this and they're gonna just go running with it. So I remember I always did that actually. So anyone want to try it? I got it. Because tell me when you wrote that poem.
But I remember my uncle saying, post it to yourself. That's how old school he is.
But it's true though, isn't it?
No, it's facts. You have to find a way to protect it, because as I said, it's your IP or intellectual property, which if someone has a hold of that and they start exploiting it, and you haven't protected it, then really and truly they can just run away with something that you've made. And
the day and age we're living in now, where essentially that's all kind of TikTok is. Do you know what I mean?
This is where things are weird now, though, isn't it? Because it's almost like embrace the theft. It's a good thing all of a sudden to reshare, duet, all of this stuff, like mimic what someone else has done, and then you can fly with that, which is weird.
It's weird.
I'm still not with it. I don't get it.
I know. I don't get. The only thing I like is obviously you can click on the actual audio and you can actually, go back to where it's come from. Yeah. However, though, again, it's very messy. Yeah. It's very messy, because what if the actual original is not really getting any, and then someone else does something? It's a weird time.
It is, man, and that's something they got to work out, because. Boy,
it's a weird
people
time.
People gonna be losing out on backs.
It is, but if we know any creatives that definitely lose out, it's poets, in terms of not being paid, or let's fling a poet in.
Let's fling a poet. Do
you know what I mean? And that's something else we spoke about with MOAK.
Yeah.
Because I definitely know there was a lot of performances I'd done that I didn't get paid for.
Do you think like there's a high scale for poets to get paid? Like, say in music, we know that. For instance, you might headline a festival and the biggest artists in the world, they can get millions, for instance, for headlining a festival. Do you think for poetry, there's a scale that even comes close to that, where it's like, you could potentially get millions for a headline in whatever it is.
See, I don't think it's a headlining thing. I think a lot of it is in like commercials,
Like corporate deals and brand deals and stuff like that.
But commercials as well, like obviously Hold Tight Nationwide, but they started to get hate mail and stuff for
Did
their
they?
adverts. Yeah, people hated their adverts because Nationwide for a very long time used poets.
I remember
And used poetry.
Melville is doing one.
Yeah.
His one was cold.
But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, some of the poems just jarred
Really?
me as well. But actually some of like the people in the commercial started getting death threats and stuff.
What?
Yeah, people just take it too far.
Yeah, what?
They
It's
take
a
it- yeah, I
banking
know.
building society ad. Like, what do they want?
People just take it too far. It's like you don't need to send them a death threat. But yeah.
mad.
But like even with that, obviously there's mad money in commercials. Mad. Especially like the buyout. If that's on there for like 2 years.
Yeah.
You're
Sinking deal, please.
calm.
Let's do these.
So I think there's all of that. And I guess a lot of musicians use poets like in their kind of intros or bits on their tracks and stuff. I mean, again, I don't know.
That feels
I
like
know.
you're dependent on somebody else to get that level of income. Because, as I said, with an artist, it's kind of like, all right, you're on the stage, you're performing, here's your bag.
Yeah,
kind of thing,
yeah,
where
yeah.
With poetry, I don't feel like, maybe I'm wrong as well, but I just don't feel like I've seen that where it's
Yeah, I
like
know.
you are going to be revered strictly for what you do as an artist, your words and that alone. Obviously, whatever production you bring, but you as an act, you don't need to bring your artist friends. You don't need to make sure a DJ comes or some backing vote. Like, you are getting booked because you're sick kind of
Well,
thing.
I mean, obviously, hold tight. Benjamin Zephaniah on Sky Arts.
Of course, yeah.
What's the show called again?
I have no idea.
Oh,
I don't watch Sky Arts like that, really.
But yeah, he's started a platform which is all about poetry.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, let me actually Google it right now.
Get
Benjamin
that.
Zephaniah. Hold up, Benjamin Zephaniah though.
For real. No, we were shouting out a few really good poets on the
it's
last
called
episode with MOAK as well.
Life and Rhymes on
Life and
Sky
Rhymes.
Arts, where it's actually Simply Shio performed on there as well. But it's like a live evening, it seems, where poets get up and do their thing.
Oh, amazing.
So the thing is though, I think with the poetry scene, it's always, obviously it's been around for a time. Anyway, because I'm not going to say it's new. It's definitely not new.
No, it's not.
But I think we're still almost experimenting with where it could go in terms of being more mainstream and stuff anyway, because there are poets that still perform at festivals.
But you asked a valid question last time as well, you know. Does it need to go mainstream kind of thing, innit? Like,
is it a mainstream thing?
Exactly. Is it a mainstream thing for people to just take in words? It's yes and no, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, as I said, public speakers, obviously they're not poets, but there is something about how you deliver your message that captivates many, many different types of people, or many people at a time, innit? And I do feel there is that space for poetry. And we see, like, online, Sully Breaks, Georgia Poet, Benjamin Zephaniah, you said, Sophia Theko, like loads of these people get views and stuff. But I think my thing is just, I just hope that it translates into actually getting paid.
It's really hard for you to sit down as a poet and work out how much am I actually saying that I need to be paid. Because I've been asked, okay, what's your price? Do I know?
Yeah.
But like Lemzi said, that was then, this is now. But then again, no one's booking me. I've actually had people like asking me recently.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
no,
I'm not. I'm just not. My head's not there anymore. I still love and appreciate the craft, but I feel like I need to run with what's working with me right now.
The booking fee question always used to trip me up as well.
Yeah,
I always used to think, yeah, exactly, because a lot of the time it's case by case. Like, you just have to go with, okay, I can see what you're doing here. There's no point in me asking for, £500, £1,000 or whatever when 50 people are going to come and everyone's paying £10 anyway, which means even if everyone, you're only getting £500 anyway, so it doesn't make sense for me to ask for that much. So yeah, working out what you believe your value is and in a financial sense is very, very important. That's why even with that gig, it's only because I saw certain figures, I was like, okay, cool. Saying them, I was like,
we're
cool,
learning a lot about Lemzi, boy.
What are you learning about me?
Wow.
What are you learning?
Don't worry, as episodes come out,
I do maths. That's all it is. I do maths. Like, if I see something, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's that private school life.
Know your worth, guys. Know your worth.
No, but it's so true though.
No, but
it's also it's always that almost like catch-22 of firstly tell me what your budget is.
Yeah.
Then I'll tell you what I
Oh,
want.
those little back and forths.
Do you know what I mean? But they're
so
like, no, you
awkward.
tell us how much you're charging and we'll tell you what our budget is.
And it's like, who's gonna fall first?
do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, because you could easily say a price and they're like, oh, that's it. Calm. And do you know what though? And I wish people were a bit more transparent with it. Do you know what I mean? I wish people, even though I guess this is the business, but it's like I wish someone said, you know what, we got 2K for this project, yeah? Like, and that's why I used to love it when I got emails like, this is how much we have. Are you happy with that payment?
Yeah.
Then you know what you can work with.
That's the thing.
Do you know what, for a long time, every time I would check my emails, and it'd be like, our performance this. I would just quickly scroll and just see, am I seeing any pound signs? No, okay, I'll get back to that one I want. Because
It's fair.
truly, I'm going to actually prioritize the ones that are paying me.
It's fair.
But then also at the same time, doesn't mean you need to put up with bullshit because you're being paid. Do you know what I mean? Like,
No,
just
not at all.
crappy
Not at all.
performances always just put together.
That's the
terribly.
thing. There's certain things you might do for money, and you're like, wow, I'm really only here because I'm getting paid. And
Literally.
nothing else should bring me here, kind of thing. But yeah, I feel like working out how much to ask for is something that every artist, again, it's going to that thing of when you don't get paid as well. What stage of your career you're at, and what stage of that event is it as well? Is it something that's been going for 10 plus years where they know what they're doing and they know roughly what income or anything that's coming, or is it something that's brand new and maybe you are going on a venture with these people? So
and sometimes just off
discernment.
off the back of that performance gets you multiple others. That happened. I think
100.
that's the only way I ended up performing loads, because I've done one and then from that someone else was like, oh, do you want to perform here? Then from that, oh, do you want to perform here? Then from that was recorded, put on YouTube. They saw that. Like that. Sometimes you do need to do your circuits.
No,
do you know what I mean?
100%.
But at the same time, if you're an event curator and you have budget and you're paying your rapper, you're paying your singer, you're paying your host, you're charging at the door, but you now don't want to pay the poet, piss off.
That's actually a good place to wrap this shit up.
That's it.
No, because you're right. No.
No, but real talk, that used to
right.
jar me, because also something, what I'll do is I'd look at the, like if I got asked to perform somewhere for free and it was quite early on, I just think, right, you're charging on the door, aren't you? You're actually charging tickets, so where's all that money going?
Everyone should do that maths.
Do that.
Honestly, because that's what I used to do sometimes. Where I'd go places, I'd be like, hang on a second.
Yeah. And also, if you actually just can't afford performers, then that is your show.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, stop trying to stretch it out.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. You actually can't.
Like artists are the last thing on the budget.
Yeah.
list.
And it's like, well, you need the entertainment, like whatever it is. But then also actually think about your event though, because like we were talking about with MOAK, is who you're booking actually gonna make any impact, like have any impact on this event? Like, does it make sense?
Yeah.
Does it actually make sense? Because if you're just flinging in this or a bit of, like, you're not creating a festival, mate, where it's
That's
like
the
there's
thing.
multiple fucking people going different places. Like, it has to make sense or it's gonna fall flat. Like, these are artists that are getting up and performing, and it's very, very vulnerable. Like, do you know what I mean?
That's why I thought it just has to be honest and be, if you can be honest with it, because there's bare small events where they say, look, we can only do expenses, but you can come for free and you can bring 2 people as well. It's like, cool, makes sense. I know I'm not here for a bag. I'm here because I want to perform kind of thing. So let's do it that way.
Oh, and we're going to wrap, but I have to mention this, though.
Go on.
So it's one thing you're asking someone to do. Sorry. It's one thing you're asking a poet to perform, or you're asking someone to perform, an artist to perform for free. That's one thing. Then it's another thing to ask them to perform for free and then have all these stipulations for them.
Like what?
Like, you must do this, you must post on this social, you must, do you know what I mean? You must, let's just talk about also now the virtual world as well, whether it's like people wanting to create their pages that needs content, so you need artists. And even like you're actually charging artists to come on your platform so you can perform film them to put on your platform, and then you tell them they don't have the rights to that that content, and you're not paying them, you're actually asking them to pay you. Like, come on now. I feel like you're taking the piss, because let's remember, same like with all these other platforms, without the content you don't have a page.
Yeah.
You don't have, so if you are purely a page to promote content, you best believe you need to understand that without the content, there's no page. So don't be asking. And artists, don't fall for it either. Do you know how many times I had people reach out to me, Amelia, I love your stuff, I love your stuff. We've got this platform here and we'd love you to be on it. Okay. Oh, so we charge.
Wait.
Yeah, they reach out to me. They have asked me to be on their page, which they will film me to go on their platform. I remember, oh my God, I actually went back and forth with one particular person for this. And I actually fell for it because I needed like content as well for my stuff. So I said, you know what, it's a win-win. So they reached out to me in my DMs. They were setting up a platform very much for the poetry scene, right?
Yeah.
They reached out to me. They're like, we're getting loads of poets. Firstly, they made it out like you had to apply for a spot, but you've actually come to me. You've asked me to essentially apply. Okay, I'll run with it. Then you tell me I have to pay you for it. But it wasn't that much. So I said, okay, cool, I'll do it. But here's me thinking, you know what? I'm also essentially just paying for footage of my, like, really well recorded footage of my poems that I can use elsewhere, because I was going to do like 3 poems. So I did it. I paid the person. I came along. I done it. I mean, the place it was kind of recorded in was a bit like, what's going on here? And it could have been done better. The quality wasn't that great. However, when it came to me getting my footage now, I was like, they just said, oh yeah, it's going to be live up on YouTube. I said, okay, can you send me the footage? They were like, no. I said, huh? They were like, no, it only has to live on our page. I said, no. I said, no, you're going to send it to me. Because 1, you didn't actually stipulate that right at the beginning. But 2, so what have I paid for?
Exactly, you
paid. But just go on your page. So literally, I had to go back and forth with this person until eventually they sent it to me reluctantly. And I think it left a sour taste in their mouth. But people, please, stop it. Stop exploiting performers and artists so you can create a page and just get that clout. Do you know what I mean? You want to be the next GRM Daily. You want to be the next da-da-da-da. Yeah. Even though, to be honest, even all that, like, because the quality check has gone now. I've honestly, no shade to them, but I've seen some absolute shit on that page.
Wow.
No, I'll never forget it, actually.
I've unleashed the beast.
No. I'll never actually forget it, because I used to love going on these platforms and seeing quality.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then now when it comes to just who's willing to pay, I've honestly seen some absolute rubbish where I've looked in the comments and the people are getting dragged.
Also like, yo, what's going on?
What is going on?
Yeah, that does happen. I'll shout. Do you know what? Shout out to SBTV. No.
Oh yeah,
SBTV,
absolutely. Yeah.
And rest in peace to Jamal Edwards. They were probably the best at that quality control thing, because they used to have specific things, F64, warm-up sessions, acoustic live set, all of these things, and you always felt like that was something to aspire towards. Like me as an artist, I always wanted to do an F64, for instance. I wanted to do these things because it was creme de la creme. Even if you weren't really well known, it was just like, oh, you're sick. Yeah. That's what you want to see. But yeah, as times have moved forward, it has definitely it's a revenue stream for some people.
Yeah, and I don't think, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure I watched an early interview of Jamal, and I'm sure he said that he didn't, at the beginning, he didn't charge anyone to be on it. Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
And for ages he did.
This is what I'm saying.
I don't know if he ever did, but
yeah, exactly. I don't know, but this is what I mean. And it's like, essentially, these platforms are mimicking SBTV, because SBTV is one of the first to like do this, especially in like our culture and stuff. And it was just the love of because he even said he had so many sick friends around him, and he's like, you're not getting the recognition you need. And this is what these platforms are for. And then now, okay, I completely understand now. This is a way to make money, yes. And I'm not saying that these platforms maybe shouldn't, because also it's going to make people think twice whether they're actually serious about what they're doing. But now, if you're starting a page where you've actually got no audience anyway and you're already charging people, it's like, what is the artist actually getting out of this? Especially if you're saying that they can't use the footage. That doesn't make sense to me. But then also now, let's say you have got the masses of audience, where's the quality control gone now? Because it's actually now really sick artists, and I know sick artists that have their videos up there, they get lost.
That's the thing. That's why I don't do it personally, just because gone on one of these channels before, there might be 7 videos that go up in a day. So imagine after a week, after 5 days, 35 videos have gone up, and yours is it's lost, as you said. It's like no one's gonna find it unless I go and send the link, which I might as well just do that on my own channel anyway. Like,
this is what I'm saying.
Might as well do that. Another thing on what you're saying, yeah, and I think this is so key, is that we have to charge people who have the money.
Yeah.
The people who have the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the artists who are struggling to get on there. It's more your advertisers, your sponsors, all of these people who have the big bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you lot, free it up. Because you're helping the economy, really and truly.
Exactly.
Not all these struggling artists who, once they've paid, that's it.
Yeah.
And they're just hoping
that
video does well. Because once it doesn't, it's like, back to the drawing board again.
Yeah, but then it's also, we're forgetting almost the beauty in building relationships with people. Where let's grow together. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm at the beginning of my career, you're at the beginning of what you're doing. Let's grow this shit together. Not all the time do you have almost you don't have the money to like pay in like that, but pay in with your time, your effort. Because best believe when you both know this has to bang, you're gonna be promoting it as much as you fucking can. Do you know what I mean? Yes, nowadays where you got paid adverts and stuff, and like you wanna do a promo of your video, and I understand that's money as well. But let's not lose also the beauty in like both parties doing the shit together, knowing full well that like, okay, no one's getting money out of this, but building it together. Do you know what I mean? It's not always everyday clout chase. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's go and find the biggest artist. Do you know what I mean? Like, work. Who said it beautifully? I think it might have been Issa Rae. That was like, we have to work across. Like, not always trying to work up to like I'm not saying don't do that, but look around you who's on your level.
Facts. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Do you know what I mean?
That was one of the premises of Hidden Gems Live.
Yeah.
It's
like, and Infacts.
And Infacts. Of course, of what Infacts is.
Wow,
It's like,
you forgot about Infacts.
we're doing it, baby.
I know,
we do it.
Yeah,
but no, that is literally it. It's like, okay, cool. Like, who are peers as opposed to the people who are already where they need to be or are getting close to where they want to be.
Yeah.
There's so many good people on whatever level you're on. Chat to them, work with them, see what you can do with them, build something together.
But even with us, like, we had a very, very small budget to begin with, like a very small budget.
Yeah.
But we paid artists what we could.
We didn't get paid.
No, we didn't get paid. We only got paid if tickets sold.
Yeah.
And that was because, like, we just thought we want to be able to give artists a fixed sum, not like, oh, it could be this or whatever. Because I know there's some people that, like, you're booked for a performance and it's based on the amount of tickets you sell, how much money you get paid, which is just long. Yeah. It's long. Last thing artists need to worry about how much they're going to be taking home. Do you know what I mean? It's long. But even with that, and even I remember the one that we done at the Curtain, we had no budget for that. So we sold
charge for that.
Yeah, we sold tickets on the door, and essentially we basically was hoping to make a certain amount where we could pay the artists. Luckily we did.
Yeah.
But like we didn't get anything for that. We actually didn't get
it for most of them.
I know.
I think maybe the last one that we did.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's because then we went to a sponsor. Do you know what I mean? We got sponsored to do that. But yeah, man, like it's obviously integrity, man. We got integrity. We do this because we love this. You know, we're embodying this work.
That's it. Don't perform it, embody it.
And I think that's a great place to wrap.
All right.
You know what I mean?
No, I'm with you.
But in facts or in opinions.
See.
Sorry, my jaw clicks sometimes.
Have you got one? Because I always go first.
I actually feel like I need to start coming with some facts.
I'm just thinking, have you ever had a fact?
I've always been like, oh, would you rather? No. I actually, do you know what? I think of facts and I remember them and I don't write them down, so I forget them. If you get that, actually,
go on. Actually,
you got a list of facts, don't you?
Don't today.
Oh wow!
But I'll do a shout out to an organisation if that's cool.
Yeah, go on.
Cool. Shout out to Calm Zone, who they help prevent suicide. They're a hotline, more than just a hotline actually, a social venture in itself, but a hotline as well where you can communicate with people at any time during the day, 24 hours. Speak to somebody if you feel you need to speak to somebody. And obviously pass that on to anybody else you feel might need it as well. Calm Zone. Yeah. That's my one. That's my shout out.
I love that. It's because you're in that space. I've been on annual leave, so everything has left me. Okay. Well, let me no.
That's all right.
No. I have one. Oh gosh. I have a fact. Because I feel like
if you want.
I
feel like the suspense is gonna keep you here. Yeah.
I'm sorry, because you know what? It's everything I'm gonna say is gone now. By the time this comes out, it's gone. Like it would have happened. Okay, I'll just leave you with an opinion.
Go on then. Oh my gosh. What the
I'm gonna have to be the one to cut all this. I know. What the frickin' A, man? Oh wow. I don't know.
Wow.
I actually don't have an impact on opinion, but it was me getting onto us about our planning.
I know. Quite disappointed, actually.
Actually, I feel like I gave some gems in the. I felt like I gave some gems in
What, in the episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the purpose of infacts or opinions, is it?
I know, yeah.
But it's cool. It's cool.
No.
Next episode, you have to have two.
I have to have
two.
a
fact and an opinion for us, or a fact and a recommendation.
Okay.
Everyone's gone by now, isn't it?
Wow, everyone's gone.
They're gone.
Yeah, because they found out that you.
They're gone.
Oh.
They're gone.
Anyway, that was it. Obviously, like, share, subscribe. Hold tight, you. If you've been listening to us throughout all of our episodes, interact with us, man. Comment us, DM us. Do you know what I mean? If you watch on YouTube as well.
Is Amelia a pagan? Am I a pagan?
What?
What's going on?
You were talking when I'm talking. Anyway, I need to go to the toilet now. So.
All right, cool. That's a wrap. Defo a wrap. She's gonna stink out of the place.
No, I need to piss, man.
I'm telling you.
Cool, yeah. Sweet. Enjoy that. Bon appetit.